Someone else's ex. I resolved once again to go to counseling. My first attempt at seeing a counselor at BYU went poorly. The counselor seemed bored with my problems and told me to go to group therapy rather than see him again. I almost wrote off counseling entirely, but decided to try once again. I shuffled into the counseling center, all prepared to talk about my feelings and shit, only to be told that the earliest counselor had a week-long waiting list. "Do you know who you'd like to meet with?" the desk attendant asked me. He was an awkwardly thin fellow, with large glasses and a terrible hairstyle. I had considered going to the counselor with the earliest available appointment, like I did last time. But I needed someone I could trust. I have heard of one counselor? I racked my brain, trying to remember a specific USGA meeting several months ago. A BYU counselor once gave a seminar. He seemed knowledgeable. I wanted him to be my counselor. I don't know their name. He's male, probably around 30 years old. I want to say his last name sounded like Rousseau or something like that. His eyebrows rose. Rousseau? Sounds familiar. Nicholas Rousseau is his name. He goes by Nilo. His earliest open appointment is in 2 weeks. Would you like to reserve a time? I nodded. Yes. With 2 weeks to my counseling appointment, I asked a fellow student in my creative writing class to go on a date with me. Her name was Iris. In a theoretical way, I knew she was a cute girl. She was short and thin, like me. She also had red hair and a reserved personality. I had told several people I wanted to try straight dating again. Eli understood. I get it. I've been there. Let me know how it goes. Noah was a bit less charitable. You're gay. Accept it. Okay, a lot less charitable. I wouldn't just accept it. I was going to understand it. I asked Iris out in person after class. None of that Tinder crap. We doubled with my mission friend, Jack. Jack didn't know I was gay, so doubling with him seemed only logical. We went to an arcade, winning enough tickets to buy a Chinese finger trap and a bouncy ball. So posh. At the end of the night, I walked Iris to her door, received a hug, and said goodbye. She slipped into her door, and I never spoke to her again. I felt too hollow to acknowledge the sting of rejection. The date hadn't even been fun. It had felt like work. A few days later, I talked to Mom on the phone while sitting on that god-awful couch in my living room. "Have you ruled out marrying a woman?" Mom asked. I sighed, thinking I should probably just break her heart and get it over with. But I was trying to find balance. I went on a date with a girl last week. "It's good you're still dating women," she said. I mentally dropped out of the conversation. Yeah, I know. While my words gave Mom hope, I still felt like I was deceiving her. I didn't view dating women as better or worse than dating men. I was just exploring my options. If I ended up with a woman, it would be because I believed it would bring me happiness. The same was true for a man. My thoughts and intentions were no longer based on religious obedience, but a need for connection and survival. Every date pushed me closer to the truth. I had no desire to be with a woman, deep down. Mom's question made clear her innermost fear for my future. The slight shake in her voice, the pain and emotion, it was all held back, yet on the verge of escaping like water from a floodgate. I knew she didn't hate gay people, yet she hoped. She hoped I would choose to be straight with the same hope of any loving parent who wants their child to be happy. But what if my happiness was beyond the scope of her hopes for me? The hard part of coming out was still ahead. I had given Mom hope to cling to in my future. It was easier for us both that way. But I was moving forward with my life. That would mean deciding, and being confident in my reasons. Easton and I were friends, again, somehow. It was such a wonderful turn of reality, I could almost forget about the rest of the chaos circling my life. On Friday, February 27th, 2016, Easton told me he was going to Park City because he had a coupon for 10% off any item in the Nike outlet. He invited me to tag along on his trip. We set off for Park City in his car. We shopped in the outlet mall for an hour, where Easton bought a pair of shorts. After, we went to the ski resort and rode a lift up to watch a local band playing in an amphitheater between several hotels. Hundreds of people had gathered to watch the concert. Many were returning from the mountain after a long day of skiing and snowboarding. The winter was so warm that most of the snow had melted. The manufactured snow on the slope was an ugly brown slosh. Easton and I made small conversation, mostly superficial topics designed to prevent any genuine connection from forming between us. The impenetrable wall between me and Easton was as strong as ever. We took a selfie in front of the band. "Well," Easton said, "we should probably get going." We rode the gondola back to his car and returned to Provo. On the way home, we began talking about sex, of all things. The conversation turned to the honor code, my disciplinary council, and eventually the church. "I'll admit, I have a hard time with the church," Easton said. "I just see nothing wrong with being gay. There was an experience I had a few years ago when I prayed and asked God if it was okay for me to be gay. I guess I just felt that God didn't care." I shrugged, not bothering to think before responding. "Your feelings kind of make sense. I've always thought that prayer was just a way for us to open our minds to answers we wouldn't normally consider, instead of allowing us to receive revelation." "How do you mean?" I froze in a moment of horror, very aware I had minimized the value of something Easton may view as important in his life. "Sorry, I hope that wasn't insensitive." "No," Easton said. "I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on this." One of my emotional barriers lowered at his words. I always felt locked up around Easton because I liked him so friggin' much. But here was an invitation to speak my mind. I guess it's like we're limited in our thinking to our biases and ways of doing things. But when we pray, we open our minds past the biases by looking for answers from a source outside of ourselves. It allows us to entertain thoughts and impressions we normally wouldn't consider. It's not necessarily because God was telling you it was okay, but because you put yourself into a situation where you were opening to accepting that it could be okay. You have an interesting take on prayer. I just don't know why everything has to have a supernatural feel to it, you know? This was a residual opinion for my mission. Many people gain their faith on their missions. But I lost mine and had to rebuild it. Belief seemed idiotic in those weeks I became atheist. So I searched for a practical reason behind every religious practice. Only then could I accept that God could rationalize it. I was a different person then. I had needed the church to be true, so I wouldn't have to be gay. But now I had confronted my fears, and more than ever, I struggled to see how faith fit into my life. We emerged from Provo Canyon. Wildest Dreams, the song by Taylor Swift, came onto the radio. This was my favorite song in her 1984 album. I liked the song because of a few lines at the start. I would include the lyrics here, but the music industry is crotchety in defense of their copyrights, and I don't want to get a cease and desist from Taylor Swift. Google the song if you don't have it memorized. I'll wait. I'll even put a section break because I'm the writer, and I can do that. For me, this song was about Easton. He had taken me from my old life and given me a new perspective. A desire to try daring things, boldness in the face of divinity. Easton was tall, he was handsome as hell. Even though he and I would never be together, I wanted him to remember me. I wanted him to look back with fond memories of our time together. Easton looked over at me, grinning. I half expected him to say he thought about me when this song came on. "This song always makes me think of a guy I almost dated," Easton said. "It's just kind of funny. Like when she says he's handsome as hell, I'm reminded of him." My stomach twisted inside itself. Just when I thought we were establishing a connection, Easton had to go and remind me that he would never love me. "That's funny," I said in the most enthusiastic voice I could muster. It wasn't much. He was just a cool guy. We went on a date and I liked him, but he didn't want to take it any further. "Who was it?" I tried to sound nonchalant. Everyone in the Provo gay scene seemed to know one another. "Oh, you may know him. He did a USGA meeting once. He works in the counseling center. His name is Nyla Rousseau."